Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be telling you guys why you need to get into the newest card game, Elestrals. For those of you who don't know what Elestrals is, it is a card game that was made by A-Drive, which if you're watching this I'm sure you know who A-Drive is. But it is a card game that is amazing for people who enjoy the competitive aspect of card games as well as the collector's aspect of card games. So in this video I'm going to be laying out some of the best reasons why you should be getting into this game. And starting off, we're going to start off with collectors because I think this game has a lot in mind for collectors specifically. So as we all know, card games tend to have a bunch of different rarities for cards. You have your typical common non-holos, you have your holographic cards, you have your full arts, and in Elestrals, you actually have the ability to get some insanely unique full art cards that I'm going to show you some of them right here. This is the stained glass full art that you can get from a monthly subscription. They have full art divine runes, which are essentially your full art trainer cards from Pokemon. But then you also have something even more unique called stellars, indicated by that little symbol right next to the name of the card. So if you're somebody that gets into card games just because of the sheer amount of possibilities to pull unique and rare cards, there has never been a card game that I'm aware of that has this many possibilities for different cards. Now, the ways that you can get these are also extremely unique, which is why I really enjoy the way Elestrals does things. First off, your common non-holos, you can get these how you would think in just regular packs. You can get them in your standard starter decks, you can get them pretty much anywhere, very easy to get, but this card specifically is a spirit card. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Your holographic cards, you can actually get these a bunch of different ways as well. And some of the holographic cards, you can only get them in one specific way. For example, the card on the right comes from just opening packs. It came from a starter deck, it came from opening a random pack, and it has no holographic pattern. But the one on the left actually came from the subscription and you're able to get it in a holographic pattern. So you can get multiple different rarities in multiple different ways. For your regular full arts, they come in about one in every booster box, guaranteed. But then there's also box toppers for every single box. For example, the original base set booster box that I opened, I pulled this full art out of a pack, but this one is what's called a box topper. It is setting face down just like that on top of the box whenever you open it. So you get 2 guaranteed full arts per box, which is very, very cool. Now these stained glass as well as the full art divine runes are a little unique because they come from a subscription called Shattered Stars. Shattered Stars is a monthly subscription where you essentially pay for a bundle of 3 packs. Every single one of the packs has the exact same commons. But what's unique about those commons is that they're actually alternate art, and most of them are actually made by fans of the game. So it's very interesting that you can get alternate artwork for commons of the game. They're also usually really good commons, not just ones that don't have any playability at all. They're usually pretty good. But the Shattered Star subscription then has 5 holographic cards that depend on the base type of the subscription. So for the month that I'm showing you right now, it was actually Earth, and you could get either one of these, the holographic Earthquake that I showed earlier, or 2 other cards. I personally get 9 packs each month because I want the ability to get one of each card, and it makes it a lot of fun to have multiple copies. There's also a lot of competitive players that like to roll up with what's called Bling King decks, where you essentially have 3 full art or alternate rares in a single deck, and it's a lot of fun to just have and hunt for these specific cards. And the fact that you get a guaranteed holo in every pack makes it even more fun. Now the stellars are a completely different story. They're a lot more rare. To put it in perspective for other card games, imagine something like the full art, alternate art rares in Pokemon. So I actually pulled this one from a starter deck, and there is a 1 in 99 chance that every starter deck will have a stellar. If you buy 100 starter decks, you're going to get one of these cards. So they're pretty rare. You can also pull these out of booster packs, Shattered Stars collections. There is a ton of different stellars, and I'll actually put some of the really cool ones up on the screen right now. Essentially, the stellar cards are the main hunting goal for a lot of people because they are so rare. And that's not even counting the rarest version of these cards, which I haven't even pulled yet. This is what's called a reverse stellar. As you can see, the stellar is all the way in the background, but there's also something called a serialized stellar, where down here in the bottom of the card where it says SD09 out of 26, there are serialized stellars, which will be like 1 out of 99. For example, so you know you have the first one made out of 99 of them made. And that's another really big hunting piece for stellar cards. The last way you're able to get stellar cards is by this, which is a promo indicated by the PR 1 out of 35. They do offer stellars for promos depending on how much money you spend whenever you buy certain products, and this is one of those examples. Two more really cool rarities of cards that you have are called the Stone Tablet cards. These are cards that you can also get as promos from spending money on the website and getting certain purchases. These are two cards out of the newest set, DayBreak, but they're both just unique arts for two really good cards. The one on the left, Chronodile, is actually one of the top tier cards right now as of DayBreak coming out, and the one on the right is Pharrogheist, which I think will end up being a really good card. And the last thing that is a really cool rarity that also comes from the Shattered Stars collection are the full art spirits. So I showed you the original spirit and what they look like, but you can also get them in full art and in a holographic form from the Shattered Stars collection. So ultimately for collectors, you have never had a card game where you could collect this many different types of cards, which makes it a ton of fun to continuously hunt and open up packs and search for things over and over and over again. If you are strictly a cool card collector, this is the game for you. This is exactly what you want because you will be able to show off some of your coolest finds very easily, and the people that know the game will understand just how rare it is. So now shifting gears ever so slightly, let's talk about the actual competitive game itself and why this is a great game for you to try to get into competitively. So if you were ever looking at Elestrals and thinking, how am I ever going to be able to figure this out in a short time span? I don't have the mind energy to be able to take a look at it. I'm going to relay this to you in a very similar way to Yu-Gi-Oh! If you've watched other card games or if you've played other card games. And if you haven't, I will also explain it a little bit differently, but there will also be a link to a video down in the description below to the Elestrals channel where they explained exactly why this game is pretty easy to understand even for first timers. For reference, I've been teaching my fiance how to play this. We have played approximately 3 games of Elestrals and she's already picking up on it on her own. And she has never looked at a card game in her entire life. So if that doesn't tell you how simple this is to understand, then it really shows a lot. From a Yu-Gi-Oh perspective, your Elestrals, anything that has an attack and defense, it's similar to a monster card, right? If it has 1 spirit symbol, then you can play it straight from your hand. 2, it's essentially a tribute summon, but in this game they call it ascending. You have counter runes. They're essentially trap cards. They have to be on the field for a turn before you can activate them, and they end up doing something to your opponent's field. You have your stadium cards. They're almost exactly like field spells. You have to be able to play them into your stadium card zone, and then they all have an effect that impact the type of deck, whatever you're playing. And then last but not least, you have your artifact and your invoke runes. They're essentially your magic cards and your equip spell, or your spell cards and your equip spells. In Elestrals, they call it empowerment instead of equip, and your invoke runes are just the way magic cards are in Yu-Gi-Oh! And with understanding the way these 5 cards are similar to another card game, you can understand very quickly essentially how the game should be played. So even with that quick briefing, you should understand you can't play this card from your hand because it has a 2 spirit cost. You would have to put it over top of something that has a 1 spirit on it or has 2 spirits on it already. The main difference that scared me away from Elestrals for a while, that I now feel silly for letting it scare me away, is the spirit deck. I didn't want to take the time to learn the spirit deck, so I'm going to give you a very simple explanation very quickly. Your spirit deck is comprised of 20 cards made up from however many spirits you want to in order to play your game. Your spirit deck is many things. It is your resource and it is your life points. The second that you run out of spirits and you're not able to take any more spirit damage, or if you get hit over your spirit damage, you lose the game. If you have no more spirits in your spirit deck, you cannot play any cards. So what does that mean for little Soul Bell here? That means that Soul Bell has a 1 spirit cost. In order to use this effect, the spirit has to match this symbol. So if I want to be able to special ascend this Soul Bell into a Soul Stocks, I have to have a solar spirit on it. So it uses my life points as a resource. Now, if I don't care about the effect, I can use any kind of spirit to play on it and it will not get its effect. This little explanation I wanted to do simply because I wanted to explain what the key difference is between Elestrals and why I think Elestrals is amazing for competitive players. There are many card games that you look at and they don't have a large key difference in how you can play the game. Elestrals does. This adds a layer of resource management that not many other card games have in them. So as you can see here in my deck, I have 4 Terratless cards. I need to be careful about how many of them I use because once they're gone, if I'm not able to get them back, I now have a bunch of cards in my deck that are Earth that I can no longer use. So this now becomes a strategy of managing your resources more than ever before, which makes it a ton of fun. There are 2 more things that I want to talk about for the competitive players that I think will give you a lot of hope for this game. In many card games, it is extremely expensive to get started. In Elestrals, it is not. The card I'm holding in front of you right now is called Chronodile. I pulled this one out of a booster box, but Chronodile has its own starter deck. The starter deck itself is about $20. That Chronodile starter deck is one of the most competitive starter decks that I have ever seen in my 28 years on this earth. If you want to play competitively, you can purchase 2 of the Chronodile starter decks and you will have a very, very, very viable competitive deck that you can play with straight out of the box. Now, is it the most optimal? No, because it doesn't have a few key rune cards, but you can purchase those singles here in just a short time. Because on top of having the ability to get super competitive starter decks to get started, Elestrals is also supposed to be partnering with TCG Player to be able to purchase singles online very shortly. At the time of recording this, I believe the tweet said about 8 days. So not only can you play this very competitively, very early on, almost immediately after purchasing the decks, but the community is also doing a very good job of communicating when cards are overpowered. As of right now, the game has had about 2 competitive cycles because it is on its 3rd set, and there has already been a ban of a card. And this ban was made simply because the community voiced their opinion on how much this card was broken and how difficult it was to play around. So having an active community that is polite and is very welcoming is phenomenal. The last thing that I wanted to go over is this game also has an app. It is currently in beta and in sandbox, but it allows you to play with a bunch of different cards because you get access to all of them when you download the app. So you can get a feel for how you like the game essentially right off the bat. And if you're worried about trying to figure out the app, there is actually a chat feature within the app to where you can talk to your opponent. And there are games being requested online on the community Discord all day long. And I have gotten taught this game by those people. The majority of people are extremely kind and extremely welcoming and willing to help new players. So if you don't want to make the monetary investment in getting a deck specifically, I strongly urge you to download the app, join the Discord, and try it for yourself. Because this game on a competitive aspect is more fun than any other TCG I have ever played. Those are the main things that I wanted to tell you. Make sure you guys check out the links in the description below if you want a more in-depth look on how to play the game and how this game is very similar to other games and took inspiration from others while making it its own unique twist on things. There will be a video down there. Also, check out the Discord, check out the app. Try this game out and get involved. It is so early on, and if we can get people involved, then we can have in-person tournaments a lot more. I'm currently in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and I'm looking for people to be able to play in person with. So I'm super excited for this game, and I'm really hoping it takes off in my area. If you guys are interested in this, go check out the website. I will also leave the website link down below. Just take a look at things. I will leave a specific notes on a few things if you are looking to get into what you should buy. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that we can be playing Elestrals together very soon. Stay tuned for a deck profile that I will be putting out in the next couple days for a deck that I'm super excited to play with, and it involves a card that I think is a lot of fun.